A little bit of pain for a massive gain. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's a Monday. This week is gonna probably be one of the most important. But I want to point out a few very important facts that most people are probably missing. If by the end of the video you're not missing those facts, leave a thumbs up down in the comments so that I get a clear picture of who is watching, because a lot of the times people they're a bit clueless. So, well, that's why they're watching really my videos. We actually have an interesting breakout happening. So we had this resistance. We actually broke out before. We've retested it and we kind of pushed higher, and people were so happy. They were saying we were going to 120,000. We're going to 200,000, whatever. But then we got rejected again. So we actually just broke out of this level again, and we retested it like, beautiful playbook, to be honest. Just pure TA, pure beautiful retest. But I have some bad news for you. Even though I want to point out as to how early we still are, but there is short term and then there is long term. So because of this, I didn't really take any new trades. That's something that I just am honest about. I didn't take any trades yet because it is pretty slow. I think that everybody's waiting for one event happening this week, which I'm going to cover in just a second. So I didn't really take any trades. This is my experimental account. I put 100K into it, plus 50K over the course of 90 days with very small risk, like 1-2% per trade, which is nice. Just proving that trading is possible. So I didn't put any new trades. So that's why we're a bit quiet. We're a bit careful here. Let me explain exactly why. First of all, let's take a look at a long-term perspective. And then we're going to talk about the short-term perspective as to what is going to actually drive the narrative for the long-term perspective. Because you always need to zoom out and then zoom in, and you need to do this top-to-bottom approach in order to really stay on top of the market. So I want to show you a couple of very important indicators that I'm watching personally for overall identification of a crypto bull market top, which is what I will be using and what I've been using the last cycle when I've made 20x in my portfolio and made my first $1.6 million in crypto, which was like so long ago, but it feels like yesterday. So first of all, what you need to understand, outside of the spectrum of the long-term, of the short-term perspective, and you guys see I'm trading on actually two exchanges. It's either Evadex or Bybit. Bybit currently has up to $100 in welcome rewards. There's an exclusive link down in the description of this video. You can claim up to $100. Like, even if you complete KYC, you can claim like $20. So which is pretty cool. And then up to $30,000 initial deposit bonuses, depending on how much you deposit and how much you trade. The link to Bybit is down in the description of this video. Then we also have Evadex. I also enjoy trading on Evadex very much because Evadex is very similar to Bybit in some ways. However, Evadex is fully decentralized, so you're always retaining control over your assets, so the team doesn't have access to your money. It is also private and anonymous, and it is something that is a tiny bit cheaper than centralized exchanges. So it's like hyper liquid, but for retail. And there is also a link to Evadex in the description of this video where you can claim a 10% cash back on your trading fees and always retain full control of your assets, remain private, and just retain full freedom in terms of your finances. So go check out Evadex. I think it is a cool place to trade. So now going to the point, like the big picture, and then we're going to actually zoom in into the small picture, and then I'll explain why this week is so important and it's going to actually drive the narrative for the big picture. First of all, what I'm always looking at when it comes to identification of bull market tops is MVRV Z-score. So MVRV Z-score is the relative indicator, which is very simple. It's kind of sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple, which is the circulating market value of Bitcoin minus the realized market value. So what it means is that the realized market value is based on the value of transactions in the Bitcoin chain, calculating the sum of the last movement value of all Bitcoin on chain. Therefore, when this indicator is too high, it means that the market value of Bitcoin is basically overvalued in relation to its actual value. So usually in Bitcoin, like the bull market tops, we've seen like huge peaks in MVRV score. And here, we're nowhere near this peak. So this huge hype didn't happen yet. So I'm not worried. I'm not here to take profits on my Bitcoin spot holdings or any crypto for that matter, just because we're still relatively early. We still need to see that big move. And the big move, I think, the catalyst for it, I'm going to discuss in just a second. Second of all, we're looking at fear and greed index, but not in a short-term perspective, actually in a long-term perspective. And in the last, for example, like 2 years, we really want to see total greed, like extreme greed. We're neutral, and we've been neutral for quite some time. So people really aren't there. And now we're finally out of the summer, and hopefully we're going to see some powerful moves. Then furthermore, when you analyze retail and really market participants, you need to analyze Google Trends. and you need to see what's going on in terms of Bitcoin and crypto terms, just general ones, and look at this. Well, they're not at the bottom. Well, kind of at the bottom, actually. And every time at a peak of the market, when everything is so overhyped that every taxi driver is trading Bitcoin on their phone while driving people to their destination, this is what it looks like. Like huge mega spikes in crypto and Bitcoin, altcoin, whatever term, because people are searching for it, because they see all this life change happening overnight and everybody's making money. So this is usually the time you need to think about, okay, this is when you should be selling and not buying. So we're still doing nothing. So which shows you that there is still so much potential in the market. Same thing with the funding rates. If you're looking at the funding rates, they're so low. They're so boring. There's nothing like, even I do a lot of passive income in crypto. We do liquidity pools. We do some bit of staking, funding rate arbitrage for quite a bit of our capital. And funding rate arbitrage sometimes can make you up to 100% yield per year with basically almost no risk. There's only third-party risk. So right now it's so boring. Literally it can make maybe like 10% yield, which is good on millions of dollars, but overall it's boring. And sometimes it can get to 100% APR. So 100%, you can double your money with no prediction of the market in crypto within a year when funding rate is high, when everybody is only long or only short, and most of you are looking for that place where everybody's only long. And it's not happening. Look at this, it's all green. It's just not happening. In previous bull market, it was just super overheated. It was almost red. And then you know that, okay, something is about to crack. So it's so boring. I mean, it's crazy. So it means that we're still well positioned. But before we celebrate, before we go all in long, let me just show you what really is going to be the deciding factor. In my opinion, the deciding factor for this week is going to be the press conference. I told you about this before. Federal Reserve is going to convene on 17th of September, FOMC rate cut decision and Powell's speech. Right now, there is almost 100% probability of 25 basis points. If it's going to be 50 basis points and Trump is pushing for 50 basis points, that's probably going to really break us to the upside, at least in the short term. So this is what we're looking for. I'm going to keep you updated, so subscribe, hit that notification bell. And what I wanted to so this is long-term perspective. We need to position ourselves accordingly for this because we are still relatively early. This is going to be the deciding factor. And short-term perspective, though, we've seen this breakout, which is what I've started this video with. We kind of broke above, danced about, retested it, but it's weak. Look at the volume. Volume is weak. A lot of people are going to be longing from here because it's a breakout with targets of 130, whatever, thousand. I mean, it can happen, but I give it the probability of 30% that we just keep pumping from here to 125, 130. I think that the market is really waiting for what's going to happen on Wednesday, so on 17th, so press conference and FOMC. And overall, the volume is pretty weak, so I would not be surprised. Everybody who's going long here, the stops are in this vicinity, so some stop hunting and 112K, this area, would be really nice to see. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think that all things considered, there is more probability of it happening in this way. Same thing with Ethereum. It's kind of consolidating, and a lot of people are there was this breakout at this level. A retest would be warranted. So the level of 4,400 per ETH is something that I would entertain the possibility of starting to build my swing long trade for ETH going into autumn possibly. So this is just my take, but overall, we're early. However, short term, I would want to see some kind of a correction because volume is also, look at volume, it's kind of slipping down slowly. And this hype it might return at any point. Anything can change, being absolutely, transparent here. But for me, with these kinds of performance figures, I'm just taking my time. I'm making sure that I'm going to take the right trade. And remember that you can actually see my trades yourself if you wanted to, if you trading on Evadex or Bybit. I told you this before. If you at least deposit into Bybit $300 or Evadex $300, you can actually get access to my trading community. All the instructions are down in the description of this video. So go check it out, and also check out this quick course. I've done a 1 hour trading course for beginners and also a bit of advanced, so that you learn how to trade properly, proper risk and money management. So your trading starts to look a bit like this and not the other way around. So go check it out. And I'll see you probably on Thursday, maybe Friday, with the update of what happened with the FOMC. So pay attention and let's make some money. Have a good week.